Yes, this is still Diplomatic License. I'm Richard Roth, and you're listening to the sounds of William Ruiz on the log drums and Cameron McCarthy on the Didgeradoo. They played this week at the UN to celebrate a major meeting of indigenous peoples. Nearly 1,000 representatives of indigenous groups from around the world came to attend what the UN called historic, the first meeting of the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. The UN estimates there are 300 million people whose way of life is dependent on their traditional environment. This new UN bureaucratic body will be a formal means for indigenous issues to be raised at the UN. Experts, conferences, annual reports may seem like your average UN body, but the spiritual leader of the Haudenosaunee, who represent 6 separate nations of Native Americans, gave the gathering a traditional welcome and made it clear expectations are anything but typical.
We, the indigenous peoples, welcome this opportunity to be here, to be heard in the world family of nations as champions of peace and progress. But peace and progress for us doesn't mean the same thing for you. Peace and progress for us means our right to determine our belief systems, to determine our languages, to determine our relationships with each other, with our lands and territories. It means our right to self-determination.
300 million indigenous people, and we have 2 of them still with us back again, William Ruiz and Cameron McCarthy. William, a percussionist and log drummer, performs around New York City subways and around New York City. Cameron McCarthy is from Cairns in northern Australia. That's the rainforest area. Cameron, you were part of this week's forum. It was a United Nations conference, so we know all about what goes on at those events, a lot of talking and speeches and press conferences. But what's going to make this different? What is it you want to accomplish for the indigenous peoples?
We want to get more attention for the indigenous people on a global scale, and eventually get more funding from government organizations to help indigenous people in their education, employment, and things like that.
What was it like mixing with other indigenous peoples from faraway parts of the world?
It was a really good experience. Like, we've got a lot of things that are very similar concerning all our people and everything. It sort of put me off, sorry.
You mean the music through you? Well, that's interesting. But you had a lot of painting. You did painting at the UN also while you were here?
Yeah.
And that was displayed at the United Nations?
Uh-huh.
And how long does it take to do your, yeah?
It takes about 25 minutes to put it on. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Cameron McCarthy, William Ruiz, thank you very much for being here on Diplomatic License. That is this week's program. I'm Richard Roth. We will leave you now with more from Cameron and William, music of indigenous peoples.